What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin podcast. We are your hosts, Kolby and Dut, and this is our podcast where we like to drink bourbon, talk sports, and of course, at the end of the podcast, we always sample a bourbon and give you our opinions on that bourbon.
That's right. We did a Michter's sour mash last week. This week we're just going to do the regular small batch Michter's. So we'll do that at the end of the episode.
Cool.
So we like to always start out the episode each week with our opening toast. So let's dive right into the opening toast. And it came out this week that I'm not even going to say WNBA legend. I'm just going to say women's basketball legend and philanthropist. That's a hard word to say.
Philanthropist.
It's a good thing I haven't got much into the bourbon yet, or I really wouldn't have been able to say it.
She likes to give money and time.
Yes, time really is mainly what she's done. But Maya Moore, retired at the age of 33. And like I said, she's not just a WNBA legend. She's a women's basketball legend. She was a 4-time All-American at UConn, 3-time Wade Trophy winner, 2-time NCAA champion, 2-time gold medal winner. And she was the first overall pick in the WNBA in 2011. She's won 4 WNBA titles, 1 Finals MVP, 6 All-Stars, and 1 League MVP.
Sweet.
So quite the accomplishment on the court.
Full career, to say the least.
Off the court, she stepped away from basketball in the middle of her career to go help Jeremy Irons.
Right.
You know, he had a 50-year prison sentence that everybody believed he was wrongly accused of. She walked away from basketball to help free this man, got him freed,
Right.
married him, and now they have a child together.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember most of her, except for some of the UConn stuff.
Right.
But
I mean, yeah, I didn't realize quite how much she's accomplished in her, in a brief career. She's only 33.
right.
So she's accomplished a lot of stuff in such a short period of time. So that's one person I wanted to toast today. And then my second one, we lost another legend, passed away. Heisman Trophy winner Charles White. He died at the age of 64. They're saying the cause of death was esophageal cancer,
Right.
but he had a lot of other things going on too. His brain's been donated to the CTE Center at Boston University to do some research and study on it, see if he was suffering from CTE. He had some addiction issues, which his ex-wife kind of attributed to probably, needing to soothe that pain. He played back when the sport was.
Yeah, he played in an era that you played through concussions.
Nobody really talked about concussions.
Helmets were a little bit different.
And he was a bruiser. He played 8 seasons in the NFL. Like I said, he was a 1979 Heisman Trophy winner at USC, 1978 national champion. So, it's a sad day in the football world.
Yeah, ironically, he's one of the first football cards I remember having was Charles.
Well, he was back when USC was kind of running back you.
Yeah.
With OJ and him, and then you had Reggie Bush a little bit further down the line. So, that was back when
Marcus Allen.
Yep. So that was back in those days, the glory days of USC running backs. So, yeah, he's going to be missed. I know you wanted to touch on a couple things also during our opening toast. So,
yeah, I think our opening toast. A lot of times it's about accomplishments and great careers and retirement, etc. But seems fitting also with opening toast to maybe take the opportunity to give well wishes or our condolences, in tragic times. And of course, UGA, Georgia Nation this weekend had a tragic loss of life within their football program. Devin Willock and Stafford Chandler LaCroix both lost their lives in a tragic car accident.
Yeah, that was hard to hear about because that was right after their parade celebrating their back-to-back national championships. So, as much as much as I didn't want to see Georgia win that game, but you definitely don't want to see this.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of puts a little bit of a damper on their celebration for sure. And anyway, we would be remiss if we didn't want to extend our, Bourbon, Buzz, and Ballin well wishes out to all
Right.
the Georgia faithful and the players, the coaches, etc., and of course the families.
And there was one more staffer in the car who also suffered some serious injuries. So let's hope that she recovers and
Yeah, that's right.
and it's gets back to her usual.
Yeah, and of course let's go ahead and roll into the discussion about what tragic incident that occurred in Tuscaloosa as well on Alabama, well, right off Alabama's campus. But we had a murder take place on the Strip, which, if you don't know what the Strip is, it's a little bar, it's a little stretch of area right off of Alabama's campus where most people go after games and celebrate, or weekends there's bars with live music, etc. But one of our basketball players was involved in a shooting there, but tragically, Jamia Harris was killed in the line of fire. I don't know how innocent and how much involved everybody was in that, but nobody deserved to be killed.
Now you've got a 5-year-old little boy that doesn't have a mother. He has to grow up without his mother. I did notice that Jamia, and I apologize if I'm not saying that name correctly, but her mother set up a GoFundMe page. And if you go to GoFundMe.com and type in Jamia, Jamea, it'll pop right up. Their original goal was to try to raise $5,000 for her son, Kane. And when I looked at it earlier, they were already at $11,300. So it's doing well. I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to help this young boy out, who has to now grow up without his his mother. So like you said, our prayers and condolences going out to her family and her son. And while we're talking about some of these things, I did want to share a couple of updates, some good news. We've toasted Damar Hamlin and Peyton Hillis during the past couple of episodes. Damar's back home. He actually went to visit with his teammates on Saturday, the day before the game, and he's in good spirits, and he's doing real good in his recovery. And then Peyton Hillis, who almost lost his life saving his kids. Right. He's off the ventilator now, so he's not completely out of danger yet, but he's showing good progress. So
that's it. That's good.
So the power of prayer, it works. So
it does work.
That's why we like to mention these things on the show to get it out there and get other people thinking about it and praying about it. And,
sure. Well, part of the show, we hope to bring some updates, some events that, other people in their busy lives might otherwise have not known some details on. So,
right.
The opening toast is always usually upbeat. Today it seemed like it kind of took a turn down, and hopefully, the show will be able to bring it all back around. But
it is one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah,
because we do get to recognize. Usually we're recognizing, like you said, great accomplishments, great careers, great lives. But sometimes it does get a little somber, and we have to, talk about some other things. That's just the world we're living in right now. So, anyway, let's raise a glass. Let's toast Maya Moore, Charles White, the Harris family,
Willock family, the Chandler,
the
UGA
family. Dog Nation. Everybody we mentioned. Damar continue to get better. Peyton Hillis continue to get better. Cheers to y'all.
Cheers. Yes, sir.
What you drinking on tonight?
I am doing an Old Forester tonight, the Prohibition.
Okay.
I think that was a good 3 for us.
Yeah, it was either a 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think it was a 3.
Yeah.
A little bit on the spicy side, so it might have. I think it fell in the 3 category.
I also went with one of our 3s. I went with the Russell Reserve. From the master distillers from Wild Turkey.
Right. That's a good one.
And
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I wanted to, we're doing the Michter's in a little while, and it's 91.4 proof. So I didn't want to go too high on the proof and kind of distort my taste buds before we get over there and taste the Michter's. So I grabbed something that was a little bit lower in proof. It's only 90 in proof.
I just dove in 100
yeah,
proof.
you
right
just jumped
up.
right in. Yeah, we did. We did do the Prohibition, the 1920. We did it. It was a three for us, which is considered on the rocks. And
Old Forester's a good one. All of the Old Foresters are good.
We've definitely been pleased with that.
Well, I think we got Scumbag of the Week, and I think we have a consensus on that. It's a subject that I know I'm not really wanting to talk about, but
Right.
I guess we got to get it out there. And being Alabama alums, Alabama fans, we have to face the music.
Yeah, you touched on the Jamia Harris incident that happened over the weekend. So obviously, our Scumbag of the Week is going to be Mr. Darius Miles. It turns out he was not the shooter, but that doesn't matter.
Allegedly.
No. They supposedly they've got witnesses that have
okay.
put the gun in Michael Davis's hand,
Gotcha.
and Miles admitted to the arresting officers that he gave
The gun.
Davis the gun. And there's video. Supposedly there's video that hadn't been released of the actual
I got you.
shooting. Because you were mentioning the Strip. There's cameras
Everywhere
down there.
So basically, it was like they pulled up next to a car and shot into the
Well,
car.
the story I'm getting, and you get bits and pieces here and there. So it all started where somebody was hitting on Jamia. It was either Darius or Darius's buddy Michael. Now Michael and Jamia, neither one of them go to the university.
Right.
Jamia was there with her boyfriend because her cousin is a student.
Okay.
Now, Michael, the only thing that they had about him was he's from Maryland, and Darius is from the D.C. area, so they may know each other.
I've read where there's maybe some prior issues with one another.
Okay.
I've read that. I don't know how truthful that is because obviously there's a lot out there right now, but.
So yeah, what Darius was charged with was basically intentionally causing the death of Jamia Harris by aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
By basically giving Michael the gun. So just because he didn't pull the trigger, he's being charged with capital murder. Now it's capital murder because it happened. She was sitting inside a vehicle. So in the state of Alabama, if you kill somebody that's in a vehicle, it's considered capital murder.
Okay.
And this could be life sentence, even carry death penalty. So I mean, it's very serious charges, and it looks pretty clear cut what happened.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear cut, and I believe he's already been truthful.
Yeah.
He's already been truthful. So it's. And I heard today that that the Miles family has hired a very prominent law firm out of Birmingham to defend him, which is interesting to me. One of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about, he's clearly a scumbag, and I kind of want to disconnect because in watching the Feinbaum show, I know how you feel about Feinbaum, and maybe linking Bourbon Buzz and Ballin to the Feinbaum show. I mean, I watched it today, and it's really appalling how people want to make this an attack on Alabama and the basketball team or the program or our athletic program in general. And this really needs to be disconnected from one another because this.
Yeah, well, and Alabama's already disconnected. He's no longer a student. He's no longer on the basketball team. There's a hallway that leads to the basketball arena that is lined with action shots of each of the players. Well, you can clearly see his has been removed, and it's just got the hooks for the picture. But he, like I said, they have completely distanced themselves from the. I won't say distance themselves from the situation, but he is not considered
part of the program.
Part of, yeah. And, they also have psychiatrists that the players can talk to. I mean, because this is, their brother.
Sure, yeah.
You know, Darius has been on the team for 3 years, so you got some guys on there like Quinterly and Gurley, and you know they all went on that European tour together this summer. So I mean, it's, you know, of course, basketball end of it's secondary to the loss of a life, you know, a family that now has to go on, you know, without a mother, without a daughter, you know. So obviously, we don't want to diminish that in any way. That's, you know, that's the main issue at hand here. But there are, you know, Alabama's got to play a basketball game tonight, so you know, you have to be able to, you know, process it, and I mean, it's just,
I mean, it's just tragic across the board. I mean, he's not only has a life been lost and families have been changed forever. You know, his life is changed forever on a moment of.
It's kind of like Henry Ruggs.
Poor decision making. Exactly.
You make one bad decision and it can ruin the rest of your life, and that's what really is. That's what's going to happen here. And you know, as a father of a daughter that basically is the same age as this Jamia. I think Jamia was 23, so she's a little bit older than my daughter. But this happened a block from where my daughter lives.
Right.
You know, and I mean, at the time, you got, there's other ring cams that are showing people running down the street. Because, I mean, you're just hearing, they said they heard like 10 or 11 shots. Because the boyfriend in the car, he actually started firing back, and he struck one of either Darius or Michael. He went in self-defense. He shot back, and I think it was like a superficial wound. But, yeah, it's just a terrible situation. It's just such a disregard. And, you know, my question is, why did Darius feel the need to carry a gun to the strip? And how many other people on the strip are carrying guns?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that I think is well beyond the means of this show. I mean, I think it would take hours to even discuss it and why and where the youth. I don't necessarily want to get into a youth discussion, but I mean, because it's clearly not just the youth, but I mean, just in general, that question is just, why do things resort to this when it was just an obvious, maybe misunderstanding?
Yeah, like I said, confrontation. It sounded like Darius and Michael were hitting on this girl. She didn't want anything to do with him. The boyfriend then starts getting upset, and it escalates from there. You walk away. I mean, what happened to the old days when you got into a fist fight instead of being like men?
Somebody had a black eye for a couple of days.
Now that it's without hesitation, pull out a gun.
Sad, man.
It is.
I don't want to talk about it anymore, though, because I think it could probably get a little bit more deeper.
Yeah.
In terms of reasoning why and the trying to explain this, because there's honestly no explanation. It's just a lack of respect for human life. I mean, it's just I don't get it. I just don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. It's like you said, the lack of respect for human life. It's just not valued like it used to be.
No. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk some football, man.
All righty. Yeah, it was a good, real good weekend of football in the NFL.
Matter of perspective.
Well, I'm saying that all the games were entertaining except the first game with San Fran. It kind of got away from the Seahawks, so that game wasn't one of the better ones. And then the last game of the week,
they ran away with that one
with Brady and
Tampa Bay. Man, I've never seen Brady and Mike Evans so out of sorts. I mean, it was
they've been out of sorts. You know, I had Evans on my fantasy team, and he was a disappointment because it was like when Brady would throw a good pass, he'd drop it.
Right.
Or when he'd be open, Brady would throw a bad. They just could not get. I think they had one or two games where they were on the same page, but for the most part, they could not get in sync this weekend. But you take away those two games, and those other, and I know your Vikings game didn't turn out the way that you would have wanted.
No, but I mean,
But I ain't mad about it.
I know you're not mad about it. And I kind of expected it, to be honest with you, prior to the game. I mean, I am definitely never been on the Cousins train. I've been on the Sam Darnold train, but not on the Cousins train. Even though I do respect Kirk Cousins for the efficient quarterback he is, but
that last play of the game, you can't make
that throw.
You've got to at least
at his status in the league.
You've got Thielen. You've got Thielen. You've got Dalvin Cook coming out of the backfield. You got
Justin Jefferson. I mean, how does Justin Jefferson not get a look one time down the stretch? I don't understand it. I mean, even if Justin Jefferson is covered, he's still open.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
he's that kind of guy.
You got probably a better chance on giving him a 50-50 ball than you do throwing a 3-yard pass on 4th and 9 and hoping that your tight end, who had a great game.
Sure.
He was their leading receiver, so he had a tremendous game. But
he's probably not going to make too many people miss.
No.
He's basically going to have to.
He might be able to truck somebody for an extra
or
2
manhandle
yards,
somebody, right?
But he's not going to drag somebody for 6 yards. Basically what he needed. And, of course, our Bama boy, Xavier McKinney, was there to make the stop.
Xavier made a good tackle.
All right, so I was going to say the Giants and the Vikings for a little bit later on, but since we started talking about them.
Yeah.
And me and you, I'm diehard Giants, you're diehard Vikings. We didn't put a bet on the game.
No, we didn't.
We could have done
even
you got to wear a jersey or something like that. But I do have one request.
All right.
Because you have been hard on my boy. You got your own nickname for my boy. But I think from what he's shown, you might need to put a little respect on his name. So I want to hear it one time. I want to hear what Mr. Daniel Stephen Jones III.
Danny Nichols.
No, come on now.
No, I'm gonna give Danny Dimes a little cred because he has been pretty clutch down the stretch of the season. Yeah, he's actually been good almost all year long. I mean,
but he has, like you said, he has gotten better and I think that's hats off to Dable.
Yeah. It could be part of his development has been Brian Dable.
But no, he looked incredible in that game. Over 300 yards passing, 70-something yards rushing.
Giants going to make him a little bit richer this offseason.
See, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, right, so now they're either going to have to franchise. They supposedly they've been getting kind of close on a contract extension, but
I think based on how this year has gone for Danny Dimes, he's going to get rich.
He's got to be in the top half.
Yeah,
of all the quarterbacks in the league.
He's definitely top 15.
So, maybe even top 10, with some of these aging quarterbacks on the tail end.
Also, if you factor in the fact that he's a little bit more uber athletic than he gets credit for.
Yeah.
And now
Vanilla Vic.
Yeah, and legit, if he gets out, he's tough to catch.
Oh, yeah,
And so now with his development on throwing the ball, and if the Giants may find him another weapon in the receiving core in the offseason.
I would probably, just thinking off the top of my head right now.
They're going to draft a lineman.
I would think, no, they're going to go wide receiver.
They better, but they always seem to draft an offensive line.
Gettleman's gone, so
that's true.
I think Shane and Dable will get it right. But I was just sitting here thinking, as far as true dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL, I think you got to go Josh Allen and Lamar Jones. Lamar Jackson.
Jones. That's a new name, yeah. Lamar Jones.
I was going to say Justin Fields, but actually I'm going to put Daniel Jones because he's a better passer.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he might be the third best true dual threat.
You left Jalen out of that.
Yeah.
You left Jalen out of that.
Yeah, I forgot about Jalen. Yeah. Okay, so, and that's him and Jalen.
And you left Gidget out of that one. As far as dual threat goes, of course, when you think of dual threat, I
put Kyler closer to Justin Fields, where they're a lot more of a threat running.
Oh yeah,
because you also got to look at Daniel Jones has got at the wide receiver, and he's doing this.
Oh yeah, he's been pretty limited with his weapons.
So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I would say probably fourth then. Yeah,
That's another. Let's parking lot that discussion,
Okay.
because that should, we might come up with a list. Do a list maybe in the next episode or two. Who do we think are the top QBs, top running backs, top wideouts?
Yeah.
You know, as this year's ending.
Okay.
But I definitely agree. The Giants' success has been with Danny Dimes' development.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
he looks good.
For as far as the that game this weekend, getting Adoree Jackson back also was huge, because he lined up against Justin Jefferson 85% of the time, and it was
he held
6 catches for 37 yards.
Yeah, he held him down. I think he looked frustrated.
Yeah.
Justin looked frustrated, and Kirk went away from him. You know, they were going to him early.
Yeah, but they weren't getting much.
I know, and then they just kind of quit.
It was all the first drive, and then it was.
Should have just kept leaning on him. He would have broken something, but he didn't. So
But yeah, that was the Giants' first win since 2011 when they won the Super Bowl over the Patriots.
Yeah.
So they'll play the Eagles. The Eagles had a bye. Jalen Hurts wasn't on the injury report, but I don't think he's 100%.
I don't think so either.
And I actually think the Giants got a chance. Because if he isn't able to be that true dual threat that makes him so dangerous, and he is one-dimensional,
right?
I think
I mean, I
think it gives the Giants a legit shot.
I definitely think. I think I take that back. I don't think the Jags have a chance
Against the Chiefs.
the Chiefs.
But
Chiefs are playing so good. But the line is what, 7 what's the line on that one? 8.5.
Yeah.
And I've seen some predictions out there that have it within a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, you gonna get the Jaguars that started that game against the Chargers, or you gonna get the Jaguars that finished it? Because I mean, let's go ahead and talk about that game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, 3 picks in the first quarter.
I know.
4 overall. You know, it's just.
And then
he couldn't have started out any worse than what he started out.
Now, hats off to Peterson calming him down, and Trevor calming himself down, and Jags playing solid D the rest of the way.
But I guarantee you, if they fall behind the Chiefs like they did the
do
Chargers,
it's a much different team, much different coach.
Yeah. The Chargers wound up firing their OC and
the quarterback coach.
I still keep waiting to see if Staley's going to get fired.
I think that was to keep his job.
Yeah.
I think Staley had to do some moves to keep his own job. I mean, I personally think Staley should be gone. I haven't seen anything. I mean, not with his roster. I haven't seen anything for him to keep his job. I mean, there's so many qualified coaches out there.
To quote you, who's done less with more?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like Staley as a coach, to be honest with you. I think he might be a great offensive wizard that some teams might want to bring in as an OC.
Yeah, but you need a head coach that's gonna veto some of his stupid.
Sure, exactly. Because decisions.
Yeah.
No, I don't like Staley as a head coach.
Yeah, the analytics that he likes to.
Way more qualified. I could sit here and name a list for you that's way more qualified than he is.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually have. I've made my choices of games. I got KC over Jacksonville 34-17.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be that big. These aren't. I'm not advocating you go out and make bets with your local bookie on this. This is my feeling. Go ahead and write these down, and let's check back on them next week. I like Philly over the Giants, man. I was close to picking an upset, but I like Philly 31 over the Giants 21. And I like Cincy over the Bills 27-24. And I like Dallas over the Niners. Based on what I saw, I think that's my upset.
Dallas did look good, except for their kicker.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen that before?
Man, that was crazy.
And if you go back to the previous week, he missed his last extra. So he missed 5 straight.
Oh, wow.
Extra points.
But he was solid throughout the year.
Oh, they didn't cut him?
No.
I mean,
I know.
he just had the yips. I mean, it's like a golfer who,
And what does
It
Dallas
gets
do?
in your head.
What does Dallas do in their first touchdown on their first possession against the Niners? They're going to go to extra point or go for 2?
Nah, I'd go for the extra point. But
got
if he
to.
misses it, that might be the last time he gets to go for an extra point.
That was crazy. He just couldn't buy it.
Yeah, it was in his head because he overcompensated when he missed right, then he missed way left, then he went back to the right, and then I think he actually almost made it, but it kind of grazed off the upright to the outside.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I like Dallas against Philly for the NFC Championship. I mean, I think the NFC East has been the best in the NFC.
How about that?
So
how about that?
No,
I was going to mention that the 3 of the final 4 in the NFC are from the East.
we didn't really predict that preseason, but it's the way it's played out. And I mean, honestly, towards the end of the year, I thought Dallas was playing pretty much the best football. Then they stumbled in. But I think last night, they looked really solid.
Well, we did like Dallas and Philly.
Yeah.
The Rams, we liked them, but I mean, who knew they were going to fall off a freaking cliff? The Niners, we liked the Niners. I mean, we weren't too bad off on the NFC.
No, the NFC, and honestly, the AFC kind of figured out.
The
AFC,
the three of the 4 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say both the AFC and NFC, 3 out of the 4 teams. The Giants were the surprise in the NFC. The Jags are the surprise in the AFC.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this stat here. So in the AFC, your 4 quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes, 27; Josh Allen, 26; Joe Burrow, 26; Trevor Lawrence, 23. In the NFC, Dak's the old man at 29. Danny Dimes, 25. Jalen Hurts, 24. And Brock Purdy Good, 23.
Brock Purdy.
So I'd say the NFL's in pretty good hands with these young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Not a single one left is even in his 30s yet. Now, if Tom would have won, he'd been old enough to have been all their dads.
Oh, man, he played when those chaps were in middle school.
Purdy was 1 when Brady entered the league.
And statistically, Brady had one of his best years.
He did not look good last night.
No, he didn't look good last night.
I mean, his throw. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know what was. And I don't. That brings up a question. What do you think?
Well, let's start out. I was going to ask you, what do you think? Where do you think Aaron Rodgers plays next?
Well, he's got like a $59.5 million guaranteed contract for next year.
Right.
He's either going to be a Packer or he's going to be out of the league.
He's a Packer.
There's no way anybody can pick that up.
I know you can't turn down $60 million for 17 weeks.
No.
Well, it's a little more than 17 weeks, but with the off season you have to dedicate. But he's a Packer next year. I know the Raiders are talking Brady or talking Aaron Rodgers.
I've heard Brady. I mean, I've heard Brady's name with the Raiders, with the Jets. Can you see him going from the Patriots to the Jets? No. And of course, I've heard Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, but then he'd be following in Favre's footsteps, and I don't think he wants to go down that road.
I kind of thought Aaron Rodgers would surface in San Fran. But
they may have their quarterback.
I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's what I was going to say when you talked about Brock Purdy. I was about to say that I don't even think he's starting next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on how he finishes out. I mean, if he beats Dallas in the playoffs.
You think? I know we keep jumping around, but you think Brady's going to play next year? Think he's going to walk?
I think he'll probably play just because that's who he is. I think he probably should have walked after last year,
right,
and not even come back for this year. But
there's 3 other people that thought that too. His ex-wife and 2 children, but and probably his parents. But Brady's Brady. So I mean, I definitely think he's done in Tampa.
Yeah, because I think Tampa's window is probably closed. And Brady is only going to come back and he's only going to play if it's a situation where he's got a chance to win a championship.
Right.
So
I could see Brady surfacing on the West Coast for sure. He's a California guy, so I could see Brady surfacing definitely out in Vegas
I could see him with Vegas. I've also heard him mentioned in Miami, but they came out and endorsed Tua.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about the Bills-Dolphins game, but had Tua been playing in that game,
might have been a different outcome.
I think it could have been.
That's why I'm picking this weekend. I'm picking the Bills to get upset since he's the better team, and I'm gonna say this: I think they got the better quarterback right now.
Yeah, Josh. Sometimes he just does, his decision making sometimes is not the best.
Goat boy looks good. Yeah, I want to do it, but I don't know if the audience is ready for that yet. What else you want to talk about? What about Bosa blasting the officials?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that the officials weren't the reason you guys blew. What was it? 27 or 28 point lead. They were up. I think I got it in my notes somewhere. 27.
Yeah.
27-0. That's what I saw somebody make a comment that it's a Florida thing because they were down 27-0. The Dolphins were down either 17 or 18-0, and the Bucks. No, I think the Dolphins were down 17-0. The Bucks were down 18-0, and the Jaguars were down 27-0. Right. So it was like somebody tweeted, "Yeah, it's a Florida football thing."
It's a Florida thing.
But you got to keep your composure, and I mean, that just you're looking like a whiny crybaby.
Well, I'll play the other side. I mean, he's blowing off steam, obviously, but I think it's a lot of frustration out of the players for how poor the officiating has been
all season.
This season.
Yeah, we definitely have talked. That's what during the Giants-Vikings game on one of our touchdowns, our left tackle left early.
Right.
Should have been a flag. On one of y'all's touchdowns, Thibodeau gets freaking tackled.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't have been a touchdown. Later,
and it was right in the window of the play. There. It wasn't like it was hard to see.
Yeah. There was a roughing the passer later on the last possession that gave the Vikings an extra 15 yards that was a bogus roughing the passer call. So yeah, just in that game alone.
Yeah, I think if you were to like make a composite list of like the NFL's top 20 worst official calls by officiating, I think late hits or roughing the passer would probably make up 15.
Yeah, roughing the passer is going to be
15 to 20, probably 80% of that list.
And pass interferences.
Yeah,
because who knows what's a pass interference? I mean, I was watching some of the games this weekend, and they were letting everything go.
It's all subjective, and it depends on your officiating crew. I mean, I just think Goodell, they're gonna have to talk about officiating this offseason. There's got to be something done because the amount of roughing the passers that were called when these players were legitimately just putting the quarterback to the ground, because if you don't, sometimes they'll let the quarterback spin out and continue the play.
There was what game was it that I was watching? I want to say it was the New York Giants, where the defender, I think it might have been it might have been the last game of the year against Jalen Hurts, where our guy had him for the sack, and Jalen kind of made a motion over his shoulder. So he lets up because he thought the ball was released, rather than put him on the ground. And then he rolls out, throws it, and the play wasn't over. So, yeah, they definitely need to do something about and college football, too. It wasn't very good. So
No, it's horrible. It's hard to watch an NFL game when you see Chris Jones, who's a monster of a man, come over the top of a quarterback, basically strips, sacks him, falls on him. He has the
That
ball,
was a
and they
beautiful
call
play.
him for roughing the passer,
yeah.
and he's got the football. The
Yeah.
quarterback was a running back at that point. How you rough him?
Play.
I mean, I can't imagine being a Chris Jones who makes thousands off of bonuses for sacks, and you get a sack disallowed
Right.
because of a bogus call by Boger, the official.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jerome Boger.
Right.
I think he's called the most roughing the passers this year. At any rate,
It's terrible.
it is terrible.
Well, one thing I did like in that Giants-Vikings game was that accelerated reviews.
Yeah, I like that.
But that was the only game I really noticed much of it in.
no, I think I saw it in the Jags game.
Okay.
Yeah, they're starting to do
Well, now
more.
see, I had the Jags on the secondary TV because when it got way out of hand, I thought, well, I'll just leave it on and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I wasn't listening to it. I just had it on another screen.
Yeah, I do like
But
that.
I did like that because it speeds up. You don't have to do that whole they're challenging the play and lose a timeout, not lose a timeout. So
I'd rather see more of that.
Yeah.
New York getting involved
that,
and making them just tell them what to call in their ear.
yeah, even now pick that flag up. That
That's
wasn't roughing the
not
passer.
roughing the passer, dude.
Yeah,
Not at all.
So yeah, now that I did like, and hopefully that's where things are headed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, I did find it kind of interesting that we're gonna get to see the Bills Bengals.
Yeah.
The game
After all.
the game that actually was originally canceled,
Right.
Unfortunately, but we're gonna get to see it. Of course, it's at a different venue this time.
Yeah.
Which we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, hopefully that game goes off okay. It's got a lot of bad mojo to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if the players feel bad mojo themselves, but
Yeah.
hopefully it goes off okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's. I don't know how much time. How much time we got left?
We're probably about 40 minutes in or so.
Let's talk Pete Golding before we call it a show, because
All right.
I mean we obviously we're Bama dudes, and so we got to talk a little Bama football. And Pete Golding's out.
Yep.
As a DC, and whether or not Pete moved on his own or coach told him, hey buddy, it's time to make a decision here.
I think there was some nudging.
I do too.
I think there was some. I think the Tennessee game and the Notre Dame game got him nudged.
Yeah, I think if you mean LSU game.
Yeah, LSU. What did I say?
Notre Dame.
Because I'm thinking of Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
LSU.
Yeah,
but definitely not making any adjustments in that Tennessee game.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much boiled down to his two losses for sure, and then 13th nationally overall in defense. We saw a slip there. And then of course, like you just said, we got shredded in our losses, so that doomed him, I believe. And if you follow social media like I do, I mean the Alabama faithful absolutely despise.
They can't stand him or Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, and Bill O'Brien may be next, out on his own.
Well,
I don't think so.
His
getting too late
his contract runs out in February, and they have not announced an extension.
Yeah.
So it makes you think that
he's still,
Nick's letting him look around.
Right.
I think if he doesn't find another job that he wants to take, I do think Nick will bring him back.
Yeah.
But I think he's looking right now and putting feelers out there to see if he wants to take something else. But
Well, I've heard some interesting, and I'm I don't know. I'm glad Golding is gone, but a lot of Alabama's faults have been our faults all along. Our DBs play a certain way. We've always put them on an island, and we've always given up big plays and made gambles. But I'm not a big fan of Golding for the simple fact that I don't think he adjusts enough, and his blitz packages were non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not exactly unhappy. I've heard Jim Leonard's name mentioned.
yeah, I like that.
I like that one.
Yeah, I think that because he did great things at Wisconsin,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now give him
the talent base of Alabama
from 3 and 4 stars to 4 and 5 stars.
Exactly.
And let's see what he can do. So yeah, I definitely like Leonard.
I like that name for sure. Todd Grantham is on our staff. I didn't realize he was on our staff.
Yeah, he's an analyst.
Yeah. So
of course, I think my first choice would be Schumann. He's young, up and coming. He is the play caller for Georgia. He's a co-defensive coordinator with Muschamp.
With Alabama ties.
He's an Alabama alumni.
Right.
He didn't play football, but he went to Alabama. He was a student assistant, then a grad assistant, then player personnel, and when Kirby left, that was the first person that Kirby took with him.
Yeah.
So Kirby thinks highly of him. He's been with Kirby since Kirby's been at Georgia, so he's still learning from a great defensive mind.
Right.
So yeah, I would love that. That would be my choice.
The Georgia faithful don't think we got a shot at
I know.
him.
They're like, why would he want to go to Alabama? Well, he's an alumni. Sometimes why do you think Kirby left Alabama to go to Georgia? Because he's an alumni.
Because he's an alumni.
And if somebody young like that comes in and makes a name for himself, guess what else he's going to be? The successor to Nick Saban.
Potentially, for sure.
So yeah, there's and he's only making $800,000.
Yeah,
salary.
Exactly. Yeah, money talks.
Nick can throw $2-3 million at him.
That's right.
And he won't be co-defensive coordinator. He will be the defensive coordinator. Yeah, I think there's some delusional Georgia fans out there, and Georgia may lose their offensive coordinator too. So Kirby might start having to see what Nick had to go through. Dabo finally had to go through it, and look what happened to Clemson.
Yeah, it sort of changes. It changes the continuity of your program. And I've argued this for years, and people laugh about it. And I'm like, okay, Georgia, just wait. You might be, you're at the top of the mountain.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just say this, Georgia. College football next year, it runs through Athens. I'm going to give them
Not really. Have you seen their schedule?
Well, yeah, it runs doo-doo through Athens on their schedule. But no, college football runs through Athens. But you aren't the gold. They're not the gold standard. The gold standard is still in Tuscaloosa, and I don't care about that. I'm just saying I've seen too many Georgia people argue that they're the standard now. Well, you're not the standard. And so did I bump that?
We might have gotten a little loud.
No, we're good.
Well,
because I want to get loud in this segment because we are still the standard. I mean, you better put together a little bit more than 2 natties in the last 40.
Have you not been listening to David Pollock?
Oh, yeah.
We're not the standard.
Exactly. This is direct at D. Pollock. You want to disrespect the GOAT in person. You are not the standard. You are. It does run through Athens this year. I'll give them that. Mm-hmm. They are on top. But like what you said, that starting to lose some coaches. People are going to want what UGA has. People are going to want that Kirby Smart mentality on defense. Oh, yeah. So you're going to lose some coaches, and we'll see how good your development stays if it can keep that upward trajectory like it has in Tuscaloosa. Coach Saban needs to get a lot more credit than what he's been given.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds. So.
Yeah, sweet. That's all I got. I mean, I could talk forever,
Yeah,
way
I think
too early, top 25.
Yeah, well, I was also going to mention LeBron James. He crossed over the 38,000 point threshold. He trails Kareem by 315 points. So at his current pace, he's about 12 games away from being the all-time leading scorer in the NBA.
Is that a great one?
Yeah, and he'll probably do it in about 150, give or take, less games than Kareem did.
Yeah, we'll have that. We'll have to put Bourbon, Buzz, and Ballin spin on the Michael LeBron discussion.
Yeah. In
one of our shows coming up.
We can do it. That's supposed to be around the first week of February.
All right. Well, let's aim for next.
So yeah, we can
next show or the show after.
It'll probably be the dead week before the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So we'll probably
that'll be a good
time to
let's
have
put
that
our
discussion.
spin on that one.
We can do that. All right. Well, let's let's wrap this up over here. We'll head over to the bar. We'll taste that Michter's, and then we'll rate that shit. See you at the bar.
Cheers.